This episode of the Fiction Writers Podcast is brought to you by the Novel Notebook. With each character and each setting, hundreds of details must be compiled and organized. Far too many for a writer, like you, to keep them cataloged in your brain. The Novel Notebook provides the answer. Visit www.fictionwriterspodcast.com/novel and quickly discover how to organize your materials and take your novel to the next level. Welcome to the Fiction Writers Podcast with Lana McAra, where you will discover tips, tricks, and ideas for fiction that is #unputdownable. Here you'll find new energy, new perspectives, new resources, and new ideas that will spark your creativity into a blaze of brilliance. It's easier than you think. Be sure you visit our website at www.fictionwriterspodcast.com. While you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now, get out your notebook, tune in, and let's get started.
How does your main character see the world? That is going to inform what he does in every area of his life. His job, his relationships, everything. My name is Lana McAra, and welcome to the Fiction Writers Podcast. For fiction that is #unputdownable. Worldview can come from a few different perspectives. And so this is interesting because you can nuance this and you can cross over or you can subgenre the worldviews. This is what I'm talking about. For example, the indigenous worldview sees the land as sacred, given by some higher power, some supreme being. And in the indigenous worldview, time is not linear. It doesn't start here and end there. It's ongoing. In the past, the present, and the future kind of mixed together. We see a lot more of the indigenous worldview coming into play in our modern world, where the land is sacred. If you think about the American Native Americans, or the people who live in the jungles of the Amazon, those type of people, tribesmen, the Aborigines in Canada and Australia, they see the land as sacred, given by a higher power. That is the indigenous worldview. The Western worldview sees the land as resources for development and extraction, to modernize the world. We're going to use the things in the land for our own benefit and advancement. So there's a completely different perspective there, with the mining and these various things that happens from the Western perspective. So you can see how someone from an indigenous worldview meeting someone from a Western worldview would automatically have some assumptions they make about each other. They would have clashes in their values. And there's a lot of interaction that could happen between two people just because of the difference in their perspective, their worldview. Another one is the modern worldview, which emphasizes rational thought and science. They question the religious traditions and the way people did it in the past. So they want the scientific reasoning perspective on the world. And they question what they see as group mentality and would rather have personal sovereignty. So the rational thought is one. And then there's something called postmodern, which is not anything really to do with modern. It's a different category, postmodern, which says there are two aspects of belief in. They can believe in multiple truths at the same time, and they believe in the ability to create your own reality. So, in other words, someone in the postmodern perspective would say both the indigenous and the modern worldview have good points about them. Both of them are right. They may not agree, but they both have a point. And so postmodernism is more of a melding pot of all the worldviews. And they also say that we create our own reality by how we interact with our world. And then there's the fundamentalist worldview, which emphasizes authority and religious creed. So obedience, subscribing to the tenets of whatever faith. It could be a Christian fundamentalist, could be a Muslim fundamentalist, a Judaic fundamentalist, many religions that have this creed where they have these rules and these foundational truths. There are fundamentalists in all of them. There's not just one type of fundamentalist. There's many types. It's just a religious creed and a set of rules. And these people want to color inside the lines. They will actually give their life for these certain beliefs that they have. And so here you have, in the Christian worldview, there are offshoots. Now, another worldview is evolutionism. We have creationism, which goes with the fundamentalist. It's kind of a subgenre of the fundamentalist. And then the evolutionist, which is kind of a subgenre of the rational thinking, modern thought and science. And this has to do with origins. So their perspective on origins and their worldview would be very set. God made the world. It happened by selection, natural selection, or that kind of thing. So when you set up your characters, especially your main character, what is their worldview? How do they frame their world out? What to them creates the lines that they live inside of, and the perspective that they have about the earth, about higher power, about rules, about people who don't agree with me? How do they look at those issues? It's really, really interesting, because the more you delve into this, the more you can add layers to your character without getting too complex. If you know that your character is a fundamentalist Christian, then you know their reaction in certain situations. You know their reaction to certain people. And so you can create these layers and these interactions and relationships, whether positive or not, by knowing your character in these various nuanced and deep meaning ways. So that will help you take your novel to the next level for a book that is unputdownable. Thanks so much for being with us today. My name is Lana McAra, and see you next time.
Thank you for tuning into the Fiction Writers Podcast with Lana McAra, where we share tips, tricks, and ideas for fiction that is #unputdownable. Remember to visit our website at www.fictionwriterspodcast.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Fiction Writers Podcast.